Selfie turns dangerous. Skiing tourist seriously injured in a rare snow leopard attack in northern China. A skiing tourist was left seriously injured after being attacked by a snow leopard while attempting to take a selfie with the rare wild animal in northern China. The shocking incident occurred at around 7 p.m. on Friday in the Talat village near of the Keketuohai UNESCO Global Geopark located in Funian County. Now it's time to dig deeper and understand the full story through this AI podcast.
Okay, picture this for a second. You are completely immersed in just a dream vacation. You're in northern China, the Keketuohai UNESCO Global Geopark. The air is crisp, snow is perfect, and you've just had a long, satisfying day on the slopes.
The perfect day.
Exactly. You're gliding back to your hotel in the Talat village area. It's quiet, it's serene, the sun's setting, you get that flat, beautiful twilight, the blue hour.
Right.
It is the absolute definition of peaceful. And then in the blink of an eye, that serenity is just shattered by something primal. You stop being a tourist and you become prey.
It's a terrifying shift in reality.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that is exactly what happened recently. We're looking at a case today that is, frankly, shocking.
Yeah.
Not just because of the violence, but because of the psychology behind it. It involves a skiing tourist, a very rare, very dangerous predator, and, well, a decision that changed everything.
We are talking about a snow leopard attack. And look,
Yes.
usually when we hear about animal attacks, it's a tragic case of, wrong place, wrong time.
Right.
But this deep dive, this one feels different. We aren't just looking at a gruesome headline here. We're unpacking a really complex and honestly tragic intersection of wildlife tourism, animal instinct, and wait for it, social media culture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It brings up this tension we're seeing more and more, the desire to capture the moment versus the reality of the moment.
Right.
We have a stack of reports on this incident from Funian County. There are witness accounts, official statements from local authorities, and some crucial biological context about snow leopards that really helps explain why this is such an outlier.
So let's get right into it. We're calling this the cost of the selfie because as we go through the material, it seems like that is exactly what this boils down to. But before we get to the psychology, set the scene for us physically. Where exactly did this go down?
This took place in the Talat village area. This is within the Keketuohai Geopark. For those who haven't been, it's a stunning, rugged area in northern China. It's wild country.
Okay.
As for the timing, reports state it was around 7:00 p.m. on a Friday.
7 p.m. So depending on the time of year, we're talking twilight, that time where visibility starts to drop.
Likely, yes.
Right.
Shadows are getting longer, contrast is fading, and importantly, this is often when predators start becoming more active.
Right.
So the tourist, a woman, was skiing back to her hotel. And this is important context. She wasn't deep in the backcountry, miles from civilization.
Yeah.
She was on a return trip, essentially on the perimeter of human activity, and that is when she spots it, a snow leopard.
Okay, hold on. A snow leopard, let's just pause on that.
What?
This isn't a squirrel or a deer.
No.
This is one of the most elusive, majestic creatures on the planet. I mean, people spend tens of thousands of dollars just hoping to see a pug mark in the snow, let alone the cat itself.
Exactly. They're often called the ghosts of the mountains for a reason. Their camouflage is legendary. They blend into the granite and snow so perfectly.
You can be looking right at one and not even see it.
You can. And spotting one is incredibly rare. And usually if you do, it's a fleeting glimpse from hundreds of yards away. But she sees it right there.
And this is the moment where the story just pivots. Because most of us, if we saw a large carnivore, our instinct, our lizard brain, would be screaming self-preservation.
Back away slowly.
Yeah. Make yourself unthreatening.
Yeah.
But she didn't do that.
No, she didn't. And here is where the critical error happens. The decision point, if you will.
Okay.
According to the reports, instead of retreating, which is the standard safety protocol, she attempted to get a better angle for a photograph. She wanted a selfie.
A selfie with an apex predator? It sounds insane when you say it out loud, doesn't it?
It does.
Like it's against every survival instinct we have.
It is, but think about that modern impulse. We're wired to document. Witnesses state she was struggling to get the right angle. The lighting was probably tricky. Maybe the animal was partially obscured. So she moved closer. And not just a little bit closer. The reports are horrifyingly specific. She approached within approximately 10 feet of the animal.
10 feet? Wait, let's just visualize that. That's nothing.
It's nothing.
Yeah. That is the length of a standard drywall sheet. That's across a small dinner table. You are practically breathing the same air.
Precisely. And that proximity is key to understanding the animal's reaction.
Yeah.
In animal behavior terms, every predator has a flight initiation distance.
The point where they run away.
Right. But if you breach that zone too quickly, you cross into the fight or flight zone. You are no longer an observer. You are a direct provocateur.
Right. You've backed it into a corner, figuratively speaking. Even if it's in an open field, psychologically it feels cornered.
At 10 feet, for a predator like a snow leopard, flight might not feel like an option anymore.
It feels trapped.
And they are explosive powerhouses. They can leap 30 to 50 feet horizontally. Closing a 10-foot gap takes a fraction of a second, literally faster than human reaction time.
So what happened next?
The attack was sudden. The leopard pounced. It didn't growl or, give a 5-minute warning speech.
No posturing.
No, it just reacted. The report describes the leopard pinning the skier into the deep snow.
That is a terrifying image. Pinned in deep snow, so you have no leverage, you can't move, your skis are probably tangled, and you have this heavy, muscular animal on top of you.
Mm-hmm.
There is video footage of the aftermath circulating, right? I read the description, and it sounds grueling.
It is gruesome. We won't share the audio or graphic details, but the footage shows the immediate aftermath. The woman is being assisted away from the scene.
Okay.
She's clutching her face, and her face is covered in blood.
Yeah.
The leopard mauled her face. It's a brutal injury.
It's chilling. 1 minute you are framing a shot for Instagram, worrying about the lighting, and the next you are fighting for your life. But she didn't fight this off alone, right? I mean, how did she get away?
She had help. And this is where we see this incredible contrast in the story. We just talked about the high-tech motivation, the smartphone, the selfie.
Right.
But the rescue, it was incredibly low-tech. A ski instructor happened to be nearby.
Thank goodness for that. Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
Absolutely. The instructor intervened immediately. Now remember, this is a ski resort. He didn't have a rifle or bear spray. He had ski gear.
So what do you do?
He started waving his ski poles frantically to scare the animal away.
Just waving sticks, basically.
Primal defense. Making yourself big, making noise, using what you have. And it worked. The leopard retreated. That instructor's quick thinking almost certainly saved her from being killed right there.
That is wild. The juxtaposition is just so stark. You have the tourists using a piece of advanced technology, a smartphone, to capture nature, and then being saved by someone using the most primitive tool imaginable, a stick to fight nature off.
It really highlights how quickly civilization just falls away when biology takes over.
It really does.
And there was another piece of gear that played a surprising role here. Her helmet.
Oh, right. The skiing helmet.
Authorities confirmed that the helmet prevented much more severe harm.
Which is ironic, isn't it? That helmet is engineered to protect you if you catch an edge and slam your head on the ice.
Right, for blunt force impact.
Yeah.
For gravity.
It is not designed to be armor against teeth and claws.
No, it's not Kevlar. But in this case, it acted as a physical barrier. If she hadn't been wearing it, considering the leopard was attacking her head and face area.
Which is the kill strategy for big cats, right? Go for the neck or head.
Exactly. The outcome likely would have been fatal. The helmet took the brunt of the bites or claw swipes that would have otherwise penetrated the skull. As of the current reports, she was rushed to a local hospital and is in stable condition. She survived.
She survived, which is the important part. But I keep going back to the why. Not just why she took the picture, we'll get to that, but why was the leopard there? Why does she feel safe enough to get that close?
Because we assume if we're near a hotel, we're inside the safe zone.
That is such a dangerous assumption. It's often called the Disneyfication of nature. We think these boundaries exist where they don't.
Yeah.
But the source material really challenges that. This wasn't a black swan event that no one could have predicted. The warning signs were everywhere. Let's unpack that. Were there actual explicit warnings telling people, hey, there are leopards here?
Yes, there were. Official warnings had been issued just a day earlier regarding snow leopards in that specific region. This wasn't old news. It was active intelligence.
And what about the hotel? She was skiing back to her hotel. Did they know?
They did. Hotel staff revealed that a leopard had been spotted near the hotel, specifically close to a grassy area, just the previous night.
The night before. So this animal was basically prowling the perimeter.
It seems so. The hotel owner actually suggested a theory. They speculated that the animal might have ventured that close due to hunger.
Okay.
Now, we have to be careful here. Reports state it's not confirmed if the leopard seen the night before is the exact same one that attacked the tourist.
Sure, we can't fingerprint the leopard. But logically, the odds are pretty high. It's the same cat, or at least part of the same pattern.
Exactly. And that pattern triggered a very specific response from the local authorities. I want to read the text of the official statement issued regarding Gem Valley, because it is very prescriptive. It wasn't vague.
Go for it. What did they tell people to do?
The statement warned that snow leopard activity had been detected. It stated, "Snow leopards are large predators with strong, aggressive tendencies." It then gave instructions. Move quickly, do not linger, do not get out of your vehicle, and never walk alone.
Wow, okay. Do not linger. Do not get out of your vehicle. Those are pretty clear instructions.
And if we look at the tourist's actions, she unfortunately violated almost every single one of those protocols.
She was on skis, so not in a vehicle.
Right. She didn't move quickly past it. She stopped. She lingered.
Hmm.
And she approached.
It's a tragic case of ignoring the red flags. It sounds like she treated the warning like, I don't know, a suggestion. Or maybe she just didn't think it applied to her in that moment.
That could be part of it, this optimism bias, the idea that bad things happen to other people, not me.
Right.
But there is also the psychology of the selfie culture we mentioned. Park rangers are seeing more of this. When you view the world through a screen, even if you're standing right there, it creates this false sense of separation.
Like watching a documentary on your couch.
Exactly. You feel like an observer, not a participant. You think, I'm looking at this on a screen, so it can't hurt me. Your brain is focused on the technical task of capturing, not the biological task of surviving.
But the snow leopard doesn't know about the screen. It doesn't know what TikTok is.
No. It just sees a large mammal closing the distance, looking directly at it. That's a threat.
It really is a clash of two worlds. The digital world where everything is content, and the biological world where everything is survival.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the snow leopard itself. Because you mentioned attacks are rare. How rare are we talking?
Extremely rare. This is what makes this story so significant from a biological perspective.
Okay.
If this was a grizzly bear or a tiger, an attack wouldn't be as shocking. But snow leopards.
Give us some context. How many are even out there? Well, looking at the global population, China is actually central to their survival. It's home to the largest population in the world, nearly 60% of the global total.
60%? I did not realize it was that high. I always associated them more with the Himalayas in general.
Yes, their range covers 12 Central Asian countries, India, Mongolia, Kyrgyzstan, but China is the stronghold, and their status is currently vulnerable.
And their personality, I've always heard they are shy.
Shy is an understatement. They're famously elusive. They avoid humans at almost all costs. A typical snow leopard, if it sees a human, will melt into the rocks before you even know it was there.
They want nothing to do with us.
They are not man-eaters by nature. Attacking a human is completely out of character.
So it's totally anomalous behavior.
Completely. There's a quote in the source material from George Schaller. Now, for the listeners, George Schaller is a legend, a renowned American biologist who has spent decades studying big cats.
Right.
And he stated plainly, "I don't know of a single case of a snow leopard that would attack and kill people."
That is a powerful statement, not a single case.
Now, obviously, wild animals are unpredictable. There have been very sparse reports, usually involving rabid animals. But for an expert like Schaller to say, that just highlights how anomalous this attack really is.
So we have this contradiction. A shy animal that usually runs away, suddenly attacking. Do we think it comes back to that hunger theory, or was it purely the provocation?
It's likely a synthesis of both. You have to look at the factors stacking up. If the animal was indeed hungry, maybe due to a harsh winter, it might have been bolder.
Hunger suppresses fear.
Right. It drives them closer to villages to look for livestock or garbage. So it's already stressed. It's operating on a razor's edge.
And then you introduce the tourist.
Exactly. If she kept her distance, say 100 yards, the leopard might have just watched her pass. It probably would have conserved its energy. But by approaching to within 10 feet, that forces a reaction. Even a shy animal will defend itself if it feels cornered.
It's the perfect storm, isn't it? A desperate animal, a disregarded warning, and a tourist who prioritized a digital souvenir over physical safety.
It's a stark reminder that these are wild animals. We tend to anthropomorphize them, especially when we see cute videos online. We think of them as big versions of our house cats.
Right.
But they are apex predators. They are designed by millions of years of evolution to kill. And nature doesn't care about your follower count.
Not one bit.
Nature deals in calories in survival. It's a completely different currency.
So where does this leave us? What's happening now in the aftermath?
Well, the immediate response is an investigation. Authorities are looking into the specific circumstances, and crucially, they're reinforcing safety measures at the geopark.
I would hope so. Maybe bigger signs. Louder warnings.
Likely more patrols and perhaps stricter enforcement of the do not exit vehicle rules in certain zones. Because clearly, just issuing a written warning wasn't enough to override the temptation for that photo.
It's a hard lesson learned, and thankfully the victim is stable. But it really makes you think about how we interact with these wild spaces.
It does. We visit these geoparks to see nature, right? We want that connection. But we have to respect that nature isn't a theme park. It's a living, breathing, and sometimes dangerous system.
Absolutely. So to recap for everyone, we had a rare snow leopard spotting turn into a nightmare. A tourist ignored specific warnings, got within 10 feet for a selfie, and was attacked. She was saved by a ski instructor with poles and her own helmet.
A hungry, bold animal met a human who didn't respect the boundaries, and it resulted in violence. That's the summary.
It's a story that is going to stick with me. You know, we carry these phones everywhere. They are our connection to the world. But in a way, they disconnect us from the immediate danger right in front of our faces.
That's the danger. The screen acts as a filter. You think you are watching a movie, but you are standing on the stage.
Exactly. And that is what I want to leave you with today. We all love a good photo. We all want to share our experiences. But at what point does the desire to capture a moment cost us the moment itself? Or in this case, almost cost a life. When you're looking through a lens, are you really seeing the world, or are you just seeing a picture?
It is a question worth asking before you take that next step forward.
Definitely. Stay safe out there, everyone. Keep your distance, respect the wild, and maybe put the phone down and just look with your own eyes. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Okay, one question for you. Was this rare snow leopard attack the result of human negligence, animal hunger, or shrinking natural habitats? And who should ultimately be held responsible when wildlife and tourism collide? Don't forget to comment it. Thanks.